Wonderful. Welcome aboard. I'm Melis. I'm a junior at Robert College Istanbul. I've been working at Good for Trust for 3 years now, and I'm a coordinator at our office at school, which is a social entrepreneurship, innovation, and creativity office. And I'm very excited to be here. Before introducing our panelists, I would like to say that this is a safe space for all, and we're here to listen, to understand, and to make good insights. First, I think let's start with our moderator, Aylin Çiğdem Köne. Welcome. She's a professor of economics, and she is the founder of Sosyal Ekonomi, a great website, I guess.
Blog.
I wouldn't call it a blog, but it's
Blog, not website, but blog.
Okay, let's call it a blog then. Then we have Georgia Bekridaki. I think some of you got the chance to listen to her in the plenary session. She's the co-founder of Dog Cooperative. And last but not least, we have Ayşe Turunç Kankal. She's the livelihoods officer for ILO and for Türkiye. And before further ado, I think we can start.
Okay. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. We would like to thank you for joining us. In this panel, we will outline the social and solidarity economy with representatives from a very important organizations work on the field of social solidarity economy. And we will discuss how a social and solidarity economy can realize its potential. It is clear that the social and solidarity economy movement has been gaining increasing visibility and political weight. Yet the broad recognition of social solidarity economy is not sufficient, neither in the world nor in Turkey. So let me start with asking, what are the recent efforts to tackle the recognition issue? Ayşe, if we start with you, could you please tell us about the ILO's work on this issue? You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Çiğdem Hocam. Thank you from my side as well for inviting us and, being a panelist with you valuable speakers. I know I have time limit, so I prepare my answer because many of you know I like talking so much, but I will limit myself, I promise. Actually, a recognition issue, somehow completed, we can say, in terms of UN umbrella. Actually, we are talking about the SSE since the turn of the century because as we are talking about since the morning, the world has been changing and we have been talking more about the social economy due to various reasons and in fact crisis, I may say. And in parallel, over the past few decades, especially during the 2010 and plus, more than 20 countries in the world has adopted their legislatives to support social and solidarity economy. However, all the countries or SSE actors or INGOs use different terms such as social economy, third sector, alternative economy, social enterprise, non-profit sector, social economy, and popular economy. These are my findings. Maybe you will add more. And as ILO, since you know ILO is the UN agency dealing with the work of work, has been working on SSE since 1920, just after its foundation under the cooperatives unit. And over time, this cooperatives unit has evolved to match the changing needs and approaches. And this increasing trend we call now SSE has of course captured ILO's attention, and the governing body decided to put an item on the ICLS. What is ILS? Every year, ILO member states, governments, and workers and employers representatives meet together to discuss certain work-related issues. In 2022, for the first time, they discussed decent work and social and solidarity economy in detail, and it was also the first high-level debate within the UN system. And just after that, the resolution announced, and it was accepted by all ILO member states, I mean governments, workers, and of course, employers' organizations. How they prepare this definition, I just want to mention a little bit on this. ILO prepared a report to submit for the government body. Its name is Decent Work and Social Solidarity Economy, and one of the expected outcome is to provide a universal definition. And our colleagues, reviewed all the available legislation in the world and member states' laws, international labor standards, relevant ILO recommendations, and of course the principles provided by the international cooperative alliances. This definition, as I said, well received and accepted in June 2022 and published in the resolution. And just after that, last year in April, UN General Assembly also included this definition for promoting sustainable development. And it means that under the UN umbrella, we have now a definition, and it is a long one. So the recognition issues has been solved to a certain moment, but still, as a part of our 7-year strategy, we still see that we still have to put efforts to operationalize this definition among other countries as well. I'm not sure if I read this long definition, but if you say okay, it can be found everywhere, by the way. SSC now has a recognition and definition, I can say, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks to the ILO and UN, now we have a universal definition for social and solidarity economy. But I wonder what is RIPE's approach to the definition?
To the definition of the definition. Okay, for those that were in the previous session, I'm Georgia Bekridaki. I'm coming from Greece. I'm a member of a co-op called DOC, but here in Turkey, I'm representing RIPES Europe, which is actually a network of networks and for the voice of solidarity economy in Europe. So regarding the definition of ILO and UN, and I like a lot because they say, and we have a definition. Yeah, we have a definition, a universal one, but the grassroots, they had a definition already before. I mean, because SSC is mainly practices. And then the supporters, and then the academia, and then the thinkers, we try to create a common language in order to describe as much as we can all this diversity. On behalf of RIPES Europe, I can admit that the ILO definition, but actually it's also influenced the UN definition, is one more close to the definition of RIPES Europe because it has a wider meaning. What I mean by that they can see that SSC, it has a great social and environmental impact, but not only to play a role of mitigation of the consequences of crisis in order to alleviate poverty, in order to combat inequalities, to use it for diminish the unemployment, etc. But they can see also the contribution in the social factor, in sustainable development goals. So they don't apply it only in social services, but they can see implication in every sector of the economy. And thus they recognize also a lot, and they say it also explicitly, that it's also a movement for for promotion of democracy and social justice, besides digital transformation, besides green transformation, etc. That's why RIPES Europe definition and meaning is very close also to ILO and to UN.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for reminding us that practice leading us, theory follows practice in SSE world. Let's remember, first the UN declared 2012 the International Year of Cooperatives, and after following the 2007 and 8 global financial crisis, and then last year, UN General Assembly adopted a resolution on promoting the social and solidarity economy for sustainable development. And next year will be celebrated as the second International Year of Cooperatives. All these developments refer to the contributions of SSC, I think. So my next question is that how do SSC organizations contribute to creating a better economy and society? Ayşe, what do you think?
Okay. SSE organizations can help eliminate poverty and drive the social change, and they aim, referring to SDGs, they aim to ensure no one is left behind. And they can support the society and the economy by creating jobs, providing employment and decent work opportunities, and offering social services like healthcare, education and training. On the other hand, they can promote eco-friendly practices, and by means of that, they contribute to protecting the environment. Gender equality is another thing that SSE can contribute for sure. And also, SSE units offer affordable financing options, access for the society as well. And SSEs can support local economic growth and developments, and of course support vulnerable groups by making them more strength. And of course, SSEs also can encourage social dialogue and by promoting labor rights, social protection, and inclusive growth. Besides them, SSEs support building partnerships and participation, and of course, ensure all human rights are respected and promoted. In simple terms, SSE organizations work to make the world more fairer and sustainable, and of course provide opportunities, services for the people, individuals, by promoting equality, social inclusion, environmental care, and inclusive growth, I may say, in a nutshell.
Okay. Georgia, do you have anything to add?
I agree. But since I'm here, I agree a lot with everything I just said. In a more abstract way, I also mentioned it in my speech before. SSC, and I think all the concepts that we are listening today, also the good economy, the prosumer economy, the Doughnut economy, and all the concepts, they try also to reconciliate the social actor and the social sphere and the economic sphere. Actually, what they try to do with the Polanyian sense of substantial economy, it's to focus and to bring economy back to the roots of the covering of the social needs, and not to be an autonomous sphere like it's the market economy, that it has its own life, no relation to what happened on the ground. Just to give you an example, when in Greece we had this severe financial and economic and political final crisis in 2010, 2011, we were listening every day in the media, the economy has a sentiment. The economy is stressing. The economy, and it's like economy, it was a human, it was a person, but it was either stressed, either it was happy, either it was not happy. We have to do something about it. We have to do something about it. I was like, okay, come on. If we see economy as an autonomous sphere, then we end up in the results we have now. It means destruction of natural resources, maximization of profits. So SSC, it works in contrary of all this. They try to reconciliate economy and society, and that economy is the means to serve the society and not the other way around.
So, as far as I understand, economy is embedded in society, also is embedded in the planet, let's say.
Definitely.
Okay. Let me move to the real one of the real problems, research and data gap. So, what can be done to fill these gaps, research and statistics gaps? As far as I know, ILO has been conducting a work on statistics. Could you tell us more?
Of course, it will be a bit technical. Sorry for that, in advance. But yes, I would prefer to say that, like recognition issue, it is almost solved. But to fill the research and data gap, we have, a way long ahead of us. So actually, remembering the universal definition, this work is also contribute to help improve the data we collect and analyze. Because when we have standard terminology, then we can collect data according to it. And one of the main duties of the ILO is to gather information about the work around the world. And for this reason, every 5 years, International Conference for Labor Statisticians, ICLS, we call it like that, meets to set standards based on the ILO resolutions. In 2018, guidelines for collecting data on cooperatives were published. And these guidelines explain how to define and classify cooperatives to gather universal data from all member states. And in this guideline, cooperatives were divided into 4 based on members' interest. And we all know producer, worker, consumer, and multi-stakeholder. Based on this, again, ILO Co-op unit started a project on cooperative statistics. And thanks to our efforts, Turkey is one of the 5 beneficiary countries among Italy, Korea, Costa Rica, and Tanzania. For the last 2 years, as ILO Turkey office, we have been working close with the Ministry of Trade, National Statistics Office, and other relevant institutions as well, to provide practical advice on how to use the guideline. And last year, in July, we were in Korea for presenting the final outputs. And based on these project results, a proposal was prepared to establish standards for SSEs, economic, social, and environmental impact. This is why I said at first we have a long way ahead, because, as I said, International Conference for Labor Statisticians meets every 5 years, and the last one happened last year. And for the new guideline, again, this, piloting study that we did for the cooperatives will be done again in Turkey, that we are lucky. And in the next 22nd ICLS, the proposal for making the guideline better and suitable for implementation of all member states, the guideline and recommendations will be presented. And after the 5 years, again, we assume it will be finalized. I mean, it is good. The things and works keep going, but it is very difficult. Probably one of the speakers already told, economic, social, and environmental impact we are talking about that SSEs contribute. So the standards are so difficult or not so common to set That's why efforts are being, given in this issue.
But without sound and reliable statistics, we cannot assess the SSC's real potential or real achievements.
Actually, and data and the information actually is mostly needed when countries should convince the policymakers. For the sake of, let's say today we are talking about SSCs, for the sake of SSC, for instance. That is why we need this kind of data. For instance, cooperative statistics, they will be finished, and now Ministry of Trade is doing a new cooperative statistic structure. It is ongoing, but for SSC, we should start from scratch.
Yes, but cooperatives are the backbone of SSC, but SSC is a vast area. So, Georgia.
Yeah, I think to measure cooperatives, because it's an operational, let's say, way, it's quite more easy. I think we have to take it. We have to admit that we can never measure social solidarity economy, and that's okay. I mean, we can measure it. It's a phenomenon that's really dynamic. It includes formal practices, but many non-formal practices. Communities in neighborhoods that they make exchange, non-monetary ones, okay, but today they appear, in next 2 years they don't appear. There are local currencies, there are time banks, there are hundreds of exchange. Actually, it's a human activity. It's like, can we really calculate human activity? I can understand though, so I think this is one thing. All the numbers we have are tricky and they don't sketch the whole picture. From the other hand, we need statistics for what? To convince for public policy, let's say. So I think that every country should have its own, because we have our own framework. In Eripes, Europe, and especially in all the member countries, what we mainly use is the criteria of MS Research Institute, but it constitutes of continuous economic activity, participatory governance, and social value in some spectrum, let's say. So this is the three criteria. In Greece, for example, when we want to create some measurement in order to apply or to give them the big picture of the contribution to employment of the non-formal sector, then we could include all non-formal, all non-profit sector, civil NGOs, non-profit organizations, social enterprise. We could include everything. So I think it depends of the use. It depends of the laws that every country has in order to have an average of how big it is, of how many people are active in that. I think the most trustful way is every country wants regarding to in every country, but with two different routes. One pathway is a legal framework, and the other pathway is from networks that they know in principle how the groups are working. So two kind of mappings, and then somehow to connect them. But one last thing I would like to say is that we have the impression in Eripes Europe that in many countries, many actors, they don't really want to be under the radar of the state in order not to be co-opted or in order not to be used or in or for many reasons. So sometimes intentionally, some cooperatives that really needs their autonomy, maybe they do want to be registered, and that's okay also.
Okay.
For your explanation and your great speeches. Okay, the mic just came. If that's okay for you, Aylin as well, I think it might be nice to take a few questions.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
I don't know. Over? Okay. No worries.
Bana göre olmadı o zaman.
Hello, this is Berivan from Impact Ankara, and I have a question for Georgia. I'm wondering how you approach the new EU policy, where they put all trading arms of foundations and associations and cooperatives and mutual. But they are seen as different, coming from different sectors, you know, putting them in the same basket is really, really difficult. So, I mean, of course it has the data angle as well, but I wonder the approach, philosophy, you know, of the civil society and the trading arms and the SSE, are they together? Do they identify themselves, you know, belonging to the same sector? What is the situation?
Do we collect? Okay, so I am answering. Very difficult. Thank you for your question. It's very difficult. Why? Because the relations of civil society and SSE, social enterprises, they're not in a European sense common. I mean, in every country are much different. But I want to clarify something. The Social Economy Action Plan that the European Council adopted, it doesn't mention at all SSE. It's not, SSE is not recognizable in the European Union. Social economy as a sector, it's recognized as it is. And so if Reapers Europe find identically itself there, the answer is partly yes and partly no. From one hand, we recognize that it's very important that we can speak in a wider public as the one that we can reach. From the other hand, social economy as a sector, in our perspective, it's more business orientated. And I don't want to speak only about how they work internally, but it's also in a concept with who are you gonna work in order to make this transformation reality. And this is very important. For Reapers Europe, the alliances are it's in a hierarchically first point the civil society organization, okay, and alliances as Reapers Europe. I mean, networks that they have strong relations with the grassroots, etc. Social economy perspective, it's mainly used by institutions already there, and I think really that's important to open a door so they can listen also another perspective. But it's not, let's say, the first step alliance that we're doing the transformation together. Also, social economy, it's more close to big market actors. We are much more skeptical with that, because if our main goal is to transform the supply chain in order to replace, let's say, the market supply chain, we can have in the first step the main actors of the market economy. I think this contradicts. Of course, life, it's very contradictory, and maybe in practice sometimes we are forced, we assess that it's gonna give us power also to cooperate and to work with other actors more close to market and maybe less close to our principles. But the main idea is to create power from below. This is what we try to guarantee somehow, but not in a fundamentalistic way. To be open, diversity in every country, I mean, there's great diversity, but the main focus is groups of people, collectives, not so much individual social entrepreneurship, but group of people with common social goal, and with them how we go forward. I hope I answer your question.
I can take one last question from Kristen. I'm sorry, really, but I think our panelists would be eager to answer them after the event.
I would give the floor to.
Okay.
Thank you, Christian.
Yes, it was me. Okay, when I hear your definition on social economy and solidarity economy, I mean, most of our members, I'm Leila Reinhardt from WFTO, the World Fair Trade Organizations. I think that our members, although they all see themselves also as social enterprises, but I think they mostly want to be seen as serious businesses. So they indeed want to have access to markets, I mean ethical markets, but they don't only see themselves as businesses that are working on poverty eradication, etc., etc. I think it's really something that they want to replace the existing businesses. I know it's a huge ambition to replace all the businesses in the world and make fair trade or social or environmental, whatever name you give it, as the mainstream, as the norm, instead of always staying in your niche to say, well, we are the social economy and all the rest is the non-social economy, and kind of accept that. I think what we need to do as all together, I mean the cooperatives and social enterprises and name it, to really try to have that ambition to replace that old economic system and build the new one. Because what we also see in our membership is that a lot of our entrepreneurs, they started as a social business. They are now bigger. Also, the workers are not marginalized people anymore. I mean, they having for years now decent incomes, so they have enough income to send their kids to school and everything. So they are just, I don't say middle class, but at least they're not the poor people anymore that it was before, especially in the fair trade movement. And we also have to accept that we cannot just say, okay, now all your workers have decent income, so no, you're out. Of course not. I think it's an alternative business model that really should be the replacement for the old economy. So I would not, I mean, we can discuss on this later, of course, about definitions, etc., but I think I would not put it as a kind of niche on the social economy and don't want to be connected with the rest of the market, because at the end they are serious businesses, making profit, etc., etc.
Soru neydi?
I don't get it as an answer. I mean, comment that we agree, of course, and that's why as ILO, ILO perspective, I can answer this question. Of course, the definition is accepted by the government's representatives, workers, and employers' representatives, which means that by the representatives of the labor markets. So, and of course, we cannot simply prepare the definition and let it be for the future. And that's why we prepare and propose some recommendations for the government and also employer organizations and of course for workers organizations to better improvement of SSE actors. For instance, governments should provide an environment in terms of supporting good jobs and sustainable development, in terms of new legislation and supporting mechanism, fair financing mechanism, etc. These kind of things, not only, of course, as you said, SSE can do, but also governments should provide a suitable environment to recognize, first of all, with the legislation, I'm talking about Turkey, of course, first of all, they have to recognize it. Since the last 10 years, and we are working also on this issue, they are trying to prepare a definition even for social cooperatives. And it is still not, fixed yet. So you are right, and of course we agree with you. It's not only SSE actors that can deal with for the future improvement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us at this panel. We'll do the closing ceremony in the main hall across the corridor, and I think we can move there without a break directly into the closing ceremony. Thank you. Thank you, by the way.